Marcus Chen stood at attention before Director Harrison's desk, his cybernetic eye whirring softly as it adjusted to the dim lighting of the Underground Defense Initiative headquarters. 20 years of military service had taught him to mask his emotions, but even he couldn't hide his surprise at his latest assignment. "You want me to protect an alien scientist?" he asked, his augmented hand flexing unconsciously. Harrison's holographic display flickered as it cycled through Dr. Verakith's credentials. "Not just any alien scientist, Chen. She's the leading expert in xenogenetics, and possibly our last hope for preventing an interstellar war." The images showed a Luminian female, tall, graceful, with iridescent skin that seemed to pulse with inner light. Like all her kind, she had elongated features and eyes that glowed with bioluminescence. Marcus had fought alongside Luminians during the Nexus Wars, but something about their ethereal appearance still made him uneasy. "With respect, sir, my specialty is combat operations, not babysitting." Harrison's expression hardened. 3 attempts on her life in the past week. The last one nearly succeeded. "We need someone with your particular enhancements." Marcus unconsciously touched the neural interface at the base of his skull. The cybernetic upgrades that had saved his life after the Nexus Wars also made him uniquely qualified for high-risk security operations. "What's so important about her research?" "That's classified at the highest levels. All you need to know is that if Dr. Kith dies, we lose our best chance at preventing a war with the Luminian Empire." The door whispered open, and Marcus's cybernetic eye immediately tracked the movement. Dr. Verakith entered, and the room's atmosphere shifted. Unlike the holographic images, her actual presence was commanding. She moved with fluid grace, her skin emanating a subtle glow that pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. "Mr. Chen," she said, her voice carrying an otherworldly harmonic, "I trust you are being briefed on the situation." Marcus noticed her perfect standard English, unusual for a Luminian. Most relied on translation devices. "Just the basics, Doctor. Though I'm curious why a xenogeneticist needs military-grade protection." Vera's bioluminescent patterns shifted, creating complex patterns across her skin. A Luminian expression of amusement, perhaps because my research suggests something that both our governments find disturbing. "The fundamental compatibility between our species goes far deeper than anyone suspected." Harrison cleared his throat. "Dr. Kith's lab is in the secure wing. Chen, you'll be with her around the clock. We've arranged quarters." "That won't be necessary," Vera interrupted. "My work requires constant monitoring. Mr. Chen can observe from my lab." Marcus's cybernetic eye detected elevated stress markers in her biochemical signature. She was afraid, though hiding it well. "Doctor, protocol requires." "Protocol won't matter if I can't complete my research in time," she said sharply. "The attempts on my life are escalating because I'm close to a breakthrough. One that could change everything." Harrison nodded. "You have full discretion, Doctor. Chen, effective immediately, you're assigned to Dr. Kith. Keep her alive, whatever it takes." As they walked to her lab, Marcus studied her more closely. His enhanced senses picked up subtle details, the slight tension in her movements, the irregular patterns in her bioluminescence that suggested anxiety. "You should know," she said without looking at him, "that my research involves certain aspects of human physiology. Your cybernetic enhancements make you particularly interesting from a scientific perspective. I'm not a lab rat, Doctor." She stopped, turning to face him. Her eyes met his, organic brown to cybernetic blue. "No, Mr. Chen, you're something far more valuable, living proof that human biology can successfully integrate with foreign elements. The very thing my opponents fear most." The lab doors opened to reveal a space filled with complex equipment, holographic displays showing DNA sequences, and something that made Marcus's cybernetic eye glitch, a containment field holding what appeared to be a hybrid cellular structure, pulsing with both human and Luminian characteristics. "Welcome to the future, Mr. Chen," Vera said, her skin glowing brighter, or at least what the future could be. if we live long enough to show them the truth. Marcus watched as she moved to her workstation, her movements precise and purposeful. His security protocols automatically began mapping exit routes and defensive positions, but something else nagged at him, a feeling that he was stepping into something far bigger than a simple protection detail. The cell structure in the containment field pulsed again, and his cybernetic systems responded with an unexpected surge of activity. For a moment, just a fraction of a second, he felt a resonance between his augmentations and the Luminian energy patterns. Vera looked at him sharply, her own bioluminescence flickering in response. "You felt that, didn't you? That's why you're really here, Mr. Chen. You're not just my protector. You're proof that my theories are correct." Marcus Chen, veteran of countless battles, felt something he hadn't experienced in years: uncertainty. As the lab's systems hummed around them, he realized he wasn't just guarding a scientist. He was becoming part of an experiment that could reshape the relationship between their species forever. And somewhere in the sprawling complex of the Underground Defense Initiative, someone was already planning their next attempt to make sure that never happened. 3 days of watching Dr. Kth work had taught Marcus 2 things. She rarely slept, and her research was far more revolutionary than he'd imagined. His cybernetic eye tracked her movements as she manipulated the holographic gene sequences floating before her skin pulsing with concentrated patterns of light. "Your bioluminescence changes when you're focused," he observed from his position near the door. "The patterns become more structured." Vera's hands paused mid-gesture. "You've been studying me, Mr. Chen. It's my job to notice details." "And what else have your enhanced senses noticed?" She turned to face him, her laboratory coat shifting to reveal more of the intricate light patterns across her skin. Before Marcus could respond, his neural interface triggered a warning. The lab's environmental readings had shifted, barely detectable, but there. "Something's wrong with the air composition." Vera's eyes widened. "The samples." She rushed to the containment field holding the hybrid cells. Marcus's combat systems engaged automatically. "We need to evacuate. I can't leave these samples. They're the only proof." Her words cut off as she stumbled, the air growing visibly hazy. Marcus moved with cybernetically enhanced speed, scooping her up while his systems initiated emergency protocols. His artificial lung kicked in, filtering the contaminated air. "Hold your breath," he ordered, carrying her toward the exit. The door wouldn't open. "Override protocol, Chen Alpha 7, he barked. Nothing. Vera's skin was dimming, her bioluminescence flickering erratically. Without thinking, Marcus pressed his hand against the neural interface port at the base of his skull. "Emergency power transfer," he commanded. Energy surged from his cybernetic systems into Vera's body through direct contact. Her eyes flew open as his enhanced energy merged with her bioluminescent biology. The sensation was unlike anything Marcus had experienced, a resonance that made his organic and artificial parts sing in harmony. "The window," she gasped, pointing to the reinforced laboratory viewport. Marcus didn't hesitate. He shifted Vera to one arm and activated his combat protocols. His cybernetic arm reconfigured, revealing an emergency plasma cutter, a modification that wasn't in his official specs. The viewport shattered just as the lab's emergency systems finally engaged. Alarms blared as Marcus leaped through the opening, using his enhanced strength to control their descent to the lower level. "The samples," Vera coughed as he set her down. "Without them, they wanted us dead more than they wanted your research destroyed," Marcus interrupted, his tactical systems already analyzing the attack pattern. This wasn't random. They knew exactly how to bypass security. Vera's color was returning, her skin beginning to glow more steadily. "What you did back there, the energy transfer, that shouldn't have worked between human technology and Luminian biology. But it did." Marcus's cybernetic eye scanned her vital signs. "Your cellular structure adapted to my enhanced energy signature instantly, almost like they were meant to be compatible." Vera stepped closer, her eyes intense. That's what my research proves, Marcus. Humans and Luminians aren't just compatible. We're complementary. Your cybernetic enhancements are proof that human biology can successfully integrate with foreign elements. But what we just experienced suggests something more. Marcus's security systems picked up approaching signatures. We need to move. There's a secure facility in Sector 7. No, Vera's voice was firm. We can't trust official channels. Whoever did this had high-level access. She pressed her hand against his cybernetic arm, and he felt that strange resonance again. There's something I haven't told you. My research isn't just about proving compatibility. It's about revealing a truth that could tear both our governments apart. The sound of approaching security forces echoed through the corridors. Marcus made a quick decision, activating a hidden subroutine in his neural interface. There's a ghost protocol built into my systems, unofficial from my Spec Ops days. I can get us off the grid, but once I activate it, there's no going back. Vera's bioluminescence pulsed with determination. The attempts on my life, the sabotage, it's because I discovered evidence that humans and Luminians have met before, long before official first contact. The compatibility I've proven isn't accidental. It's engineered, built into both our species' genetic codes millennia ago. Marcus's tactical systems calculated their rapidly diminishing options as footsteps grew closer. You're saying someone wanted our species to be compatible. Not someone. Vera's skin glowed brighter. Something. An entity so advanced it could manipulate the evolution of two species across light years. And there are those in both our governments who've known this truth all along. The decision crystallized in Marcus's mind. His duty wasn't just to protect Vera. It was to protect the truth she carried. Ghost protocol engaging, he said, feeling his cybernetic systems shift into stealth configuration. Stay close to me. As they moved through the shadows of the facility, Marcus felt the resonance between them growing stronger. His enhanced senses detected changes in his own cellular structure where their energy patterns had merged. Whatever force had engineered their species' compatibility, it had done its work well. Too well, perhaps, for those who preferred their species divided by fear and mistrust. They'll hunt us, he warned as they approached a hidden exit. Vera's hand found his, organic and cybernetic fingers intertwining. Let them try. We have something they don't, Marcus. Proof that their walls between our species were built on lies. As they slipped into the night, Marcus's systems detected one more unexpected change. His neural interface was adapting, evolving in response to their shared energy signature. Humanity's technology and Luminian biology weren't just compatible, they were transforming each other, creating something entirely new. And that, he realized, was exactly what their enemies feared most. The abandoned research outpost on Luna's dark side wasn't Marcus's first choice for a hideout, but its outdated systems made it invisible to modern scanning technology. He watched through his cybernetic eye as Vera worked with salvaged equipment, her bioluminescence the only significant light source in the dim facility. Your systems are still evolving, she observed without looking up from her makeshift laboratory setup. The resonance we shared has triggered adaptations I never thought possible. She was right. Over the past week, Marcus had noticed his cybernetic enhancements performing beyond their specifications. His neural interface had developed new pathways, integrating more seamlessly with his organic tissue. Even now, he could sense the subtle electromagnetic field generated by Vera's bioluminescence. Is that why they want you dead? He asked. Because you discovered we could adapt to each other. Partially. Vera's hands moved through the holographic data she'd managed to save. But the truth goes deeper. Watch. She projected a complex genetic sequence. This is human DNA from before first contact with Luminians. And this, another sequence appeared alongside it, is Luminian DNA from the same period. Look at these markers. Marcus's enhanced vision zoomed in on the highlighted sections. They're identical. Not just identical, artificially inserted. Both sequences contain manufactured components that lay dormant until our species interact. Her skin pulsed with excitement. We were designed to merge, Marcus, to become something greater than the sum of our parts. A proximity alert from his security systems interrupted them. Movement outside. 3 signatures, trying to mask their approach. Vera quickly saved her data to a secure crystal. Human or Luminian? Both. His tactical systems were already mapping defensive positions. They're working together. Of course they are. Vera's voice was bitter. The hardliners on both sides would rather start a war than let our species truly unite. Marcus activated his combat protocols, feeling the familiar surge as his cybernetics powered up. But this time, something was different. The energy patterns in his systems were resonating with Vera's bioluminescence, creating feedback loops that enhanced both. "They're breaching the airlock," he reported, moving to a defensive position. "Stay behind me." "No." Vera stepped beside him, her skin glowing brighter. "We face this together. What's happening between us? This integration. It's what we were meant to become." The airlock exploded inward. 3 figures rushed through. 2 human commandos in stealth suits and a Luminian warrior. Their bioluminescence dampened to near darkness. "Surrender the research," the Luminian ordered, "and your deaths will be quick." Marcus felt Vera's energy field intensify beside him. His cybernetic systems responded automatically, synchronizing with her bioluminescent patterns. Power surged through his enhanced muscles as their resonance grew stronger. The first commando fired a neural disruptor, designed to overload cybernetic systems. Marcus didn't dodge. Instead, he let the energy flow through him and into Vera, where her bioluminescent biology transformed it into pure light. What happened next defied both human and Luminian science. The resonance between them peaked, creating a feedback loop of cybernetic and bioluminescent energy. Marcus's systems operated at impossible levels as Vera's light became focused, coherent. They moved as one, his enhanced strength amplified by her energy manipulation. The attackers never stood a chance. When it was over, Marcus stared at his hands, organic and cybernetic both glowing with traces of Luminian bioluminescence. Vera touched his arm, and the resonance between them hummed like a perfectly tuned instrument. "Now you understand," she said softly. "This is what they fear. Not just our biological compatibility, but our potential to transcend our original forms." Marcus nodded, still processing the impossible data his systems were reporting. "My enhancements, they're not just adapting to your biology. They're evolving into something new. As am I." Vera held up her hand, where traces of cybernetic patterns now shimmered beneath her luminescent skin. "The ancient engineers who modified our species, they didn't just want us to coexist. They wanted us to combine our strengths to become something greater." A message flashed across Marcus's neural interface, a ghost protocol communication from one of his old Spec Ops contacts. "We've been tracked. More teams are coming, bigger ones. We need to move." Vera quickly gathered her research data. "We need to get this evidence to someone who'll listen, someone with enough influence to prevent the hardliners from starting their war." "I might know someone," Marcus said, his tactical systems already plotting routes. "But it's risky. She's high up in the Interstellar Council, and I'm not entirely sure which side she's on." "We don't need her to be on our side." Vera's skin pulsed with determination. "We just need her to see the truth. What happened here, what's happening between us, it can't be denied." As they prepared to leave the outpost, Marcus felt the resonance between them growing stronger still. His cybernetic systems were integrating Luminian energy patterns, while Vera's bioluminescence had taken on the structured precision of digital code. They were becoming living proof of what both their species could be, if they survived long enough to show the world. "Ready?" he asked, offering his hand. Vera took it, their energies merging once again. "Ready. Whatever happens, Marcus, remember, this connection between us isn't just about survival anymore. It's about showing both our peoples the future they were meant to achieve." As they moved through the lunar darkness, their combined energy lighting the way, Marcus realized she was right. He had been chosen to protect her, but together they had discovered something far more important: the power to bridge the gap between their species and unlock the potential their ancient engineers had hidden in their very DNA. Now they just had to stay alive long enough to share that discovery with a universe that might not be ready to accept it. The Interstellar Council's orbital station loomed before them, its crystalline spires reflecting Earth's light. Marcus's enhanced vision could pick out the defense systems, both human and Luminian technology working in parallel, but never truly integrated, unlike the seamless merger he and Vera had achieved. "Counselor Chen," Vera said, studying the station's layout on their shuttle's display. "Your contact is a relative. My sister." Marcus's organic eye remained fixed on their approach vector, while his cybernetic one scanned for threats. Maria was always the diplomatic one. She worked her way up through the ranks while I was getting pieces of myself replaced in combat. "And you trust her?" "I trust her to listen." His neural interface pinged, detecting unusual activity patterns in the station's security grid. "Something's wrong. The defense protocols are in flux." Vera's bioluminescence dimmed, her equivalent of a frown. "They're expecting us." "No." Marcus's tactical systems highlighted multiple anomalies. "They're in the middle of something bigger. Look at the communication patterns." The station's normally strict arrival protocols were disrupted. Ships of various sizes were departing in apparent haste. Marcus patched into the emergency channels through his ghost protocols. "It's happening," he said grimly. "The hardliners are making their move. There's been an attack on the Luminian embassy on Earth. They're calling it an act of war." Vera's skin flared with alarm. "We're too late." "No." Marcus engaged their shuttle's stealth systems, experimental tech he'd borrowed from his Spec Ops days. "This is exactly when they need to see your evidence, when the cost of ignorance is at its highest." They docked at a maintenance port, bypassing the main security checkpoints. Marcus's neural interface merged with the station's systems, creating blind spots in the surveillance network. As they moved through the corridors, they encountered chaos, diplomats and staff rushing to emergency positions. The attack was coordinated, Vera observed, reading data through their shared resonance. Both human and Luminian extremists working together, just like our assassins. To force a war neither side truly wants. Marcus led them through a service tunnel, his enhanced senses alert for pursuit. "Maria's office is 2 levels up, if we can." His combat systems screamed a warning. The wall beside them exploded inward, and through the breach stepped a figure that made both of them freeze. Commander Drake stood there, his cybernetic enhancements even more extensive than Marcus. The left side of his face was entirely synthetic, glowing with the same cold blue light as his artificial eyes. "I wondered if you'd show up here," Drake said, his voice carrying mechanical undertones. "Your sister's been asking questions, Marcus. Dangerous ones. About old projects. About why certain soldiers were chosen for enhancement." Marcus pushed Vera behind him, but she stayed close, their energies automatically synchronizing. "You knew," Marcus said, "about the compatibility. About everything." "Of course." Drake's artificial face showed no emotion. "Why do you think we selected specific soldiers for cybernetic enhancement? We needed to know if the ancient markers in human DNA would accept artificial additions. You were our most successful test subject." "Test subject." Vera's voice was sharp. "You deliberately engineered his enhancements to resonate with Luminian biology." "We engineered nothing." Drake took a step forward, his movements unnaturally smooth. "We merely took advantage of what was already there, the same markers that made your species compatible with ours. But some of us realized the danger. If humans and Luminians truly united, truly merged their strengths, there would be no more need for people like you." Marcus finished. "No more need for warriors and weapons. Look at yourselves." Drake gestured at their merged energy patterns. neither human nor Luminian, an aberration, a threat to both species' purity. He raised his arm, which transformed into a weapon more advanced than anything Marcus had seen. Fortunately, the war about to begin will ensure such mergers never happen again. The natural order will be preserved. The blast from Drake's weapon should have destroyed them both. But in that microsecond, Marcus and Vera's resonance reached a new peak. Their combined energy created a shield of light and cybernetic force, deflecting the attack back at its source. Drake staggered, his systems momentarily overloaded. Marcus didn't waste the opportunity. He charged forward, his enhanced strength augmented by Vera's energy. Their perfect synchronization made his movements faster, more precise than ever before. The fight was brutal but brief. Drake's superior enhancements couldn't match the power of their unified abilities. When it was over, he lay deactivated, his systems burned out by their combined assault. Marcus. Vera's urgent voice cut through his combat focus. The attack, it started. They're declaring war. Through their shared connection, he could feel the truth of it. Weapons were being armed. Ships were moving into position. Years of carefully orchestrated tension were about to explode into violence. Then we show them what they're really fighting against. He helped her up, their energies still perfectly aligned. We show them the future they're trying to destroy. Together, they race toward Maria's office, carrying proof not just of ancient engineering, but of humanity's potential to become something greater. The price of truth was high, but the cost of silence would be higher still. The future of two species hung in the balance, and time was running out. Maria Chen stood at the window of her council chamber, watching Earth gleam below as the first shots of war were about to be fired. Her brother's entrance wasn't subtle. The door's security system shorted out in a flash of merged cybernetic and bioluminescent energy. "Hello, sister," Marcus said as he and Vera entered. "Sorry about the door." Maria turned, her diplomatic mask cracking at the sight before her. Her brother's cybernetic parts now glowed with Luminian energy, while his alien companion's skin displayed intricate patterns of digital code. "What have you become?" she whispered. "The truth," Vera answered, stepping forward. "The truth they've been trying to kill." Through the chamber's windows, they could see ships moving into attack positions, human and Luminian vessels preparing to destroy each other. Emergency alerts flashed across every screen as the station's staff prepared for war. "We don't have much time," Marcus said, his enhanced senses tracking multiple threats converging on their location. "Show her." Vera projected her data into the room's holographic system. DNA sequences, ancient markers, and proof of deliberate engineering filled the air around them. But more compelling was the living evidence, the visible resonance between human and Luminian energy as Marcus and Vera stood united. "The attack on the embassy," Maria said, her trained diplomatic mind working quickly. "It was staged. By people like Commander Drake," Marcus confirmed. "Hardliners on both sides working together to prevent exactly this kind of integration." A proximity alarm sounded. Security forces were approaching. Both human and Luminian troops. Maria's hand moved toward the alert button on her desk. "Wait," Vera said. "Look at what's happening to your brother. To me. We're not losing our identities. We're transcending them. This is what our ancestors engineered us for." Maria's hand hesitated. "If what you're showing me is true, it changes everything we thought we knew about our species. That's what they're afraid of." Marcus's tactical systems marked multiple entry points being breached. Change. Evolution. The end of their control. The chamber's doors burst open. Armed troops flooded in, led by a Luminian general whose skin pulsed with patterns of authority. Behind him stood Admiral Carter of Earth's Defense Force, his augmented uniform humming with power. "Counselor Chen," the Admiral said, "step away from these fugitives. They're part of a plot to destabilize." "No," Maria interrupted, her diplomatic training giving way to raw conviction. "They're proof of something you've been trying to hide." She pressed a button, and Vera's data began broadcasting to every screen on the station. But it was Marcus and Vera themselves who provided the most compelling evidence. Their merged energy filled the chamber with impossible light, cybernetic and bioluminescent power working. "Look at them," Maria commanded. "Really look. This is what we could all become. What we were meant to become." The Luminian general's skin flickered with complex emotions. The ancient markers, they were real. "Real enough that you tried to kill us to keep them hidden," Vera said. Her voice carried harmonics that made both human and Luminian technology resonate in response. Through their connection, Marcus felt a new possibility emerging. "Show them," he said to Vera. "Show them everything." Their resonance peaked. The energy they had been holding back was released in a controlled wave, washing over everyone in the chamber. Where it touched cybernetic enhancements, they began to glow with bioluminescent patterns. Where it met Luminian skin, digital codes shimmered to life. For one brief moment, everyone in the room felt what Marcus and Vera had discovered: the potential for perfect integration, for evolution beyond the artificial barriers of species and technology. The Admiral's augmented uniform sparked with new energy patterns. The Luminian general's skin displayed impossible mathematical sequences. Even Maria gasped as her diplomatic neural implants responded to the wave of unified power. "This is what you would destroy," Marcus said into the stunned silence. "Not weakness, but strength. Not confusion, but clarity." "Our ancestors knew this day would come," Vera added. "They built it into our very DNA, the capacity to merge, to grow, to become something greater than we ever imagined." Through the chamber windows, the warships hung motionless, their crews experiencing the same revelation through the station's broadcasts. The moment balanced on a knife's edge, old fears wrestling with new possibilities. Maria found her voice first. "Stand down," she ordered the troops. "Stand down and look at what's happening. This isn't an attack. It's an awakening." One by one, weapons lowered. The Admiral's augmented systems pulsed with new understanding. The Luminian general's skin displayed patterns of acceptance and awe. Through their shared resonance, through the station's broadcasts, through the rippling waves of merged energy, their truth spread. Not just data and evidence, but living proof that humanity and Luminian kind were always meant to find each other, to join together, to become something new. The war that almost was became instead a revolution, not of violence, but of transformation. The barriers between species began to fall, not in fear, but in wonder at what they could become together. Marcus looked at Vera, seeing in her eyes the same understanding. They had started as guard and scientist, human and alien, separate and afraid. They were ending as something else, pioneers of a new age, proof that love and evolution could overcome even the deepest divisions. The future they had discovered was just beginning.